Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's the morning after. We're going to talk about that Stranger Things finale last night. We've had time to process it, and I'm sure a lot of you have had time to process it for good or bad. And we're going to give our opinions on how they ended Stranger Things. Now, the media is not real happy with it. They've got all kinds of articles out there. They're talking about how disappointing and stupid it was. It definitely was not a 10 out of 10 like Sean Levy tried to say.
Oh, yeah, no.
But it had its you know, good and bad. And look, I mean, there is no way to wrap this show up given especially the direction of season 5. There's no way to wrap it up and have it be a satisfying ending for everybody. It's just not that. I don't think it's possible.
Are really split on it. Now, I said they stuck the landing, but I thought about it more, and I was like, you know what? Yes and no. And I still think that they had good ideas, but it was way too rushed. And I honestly think because they squandered away part 2, that it just, they had to rush it all for the very last episode because they wanted to put it in theaters. And I think if they had taken part of part 2 and, you know, given it more, because at the end you're like, that's it. You're like waiting for something else to happen. That can't be it. That's too easy. You know, and I think they did waste that. They left a lot of stuff unanswered. I personally was glad they didn't kill. Well, spoilers. I was personally glad they didn't kill all the kids. I was like, as a mom, I watched those kids grow up, and I did not want to see the characters get killed.
We'll talk
Except
about this.
For 11.
there are spoilers. Obviously, you want spoiled if you're listening to this. I would say just off the top of my head, I'd give it like a 7 or an 8. Maybe.
Probably 7, yeah, 7.5. I mean, I think given what they had to work with, they stuck it. Given what they had to work with by the time they got into it. But if you take the entire season 5 into consideration, it was poor planning. Like they could have done so much more with it. For going into it with what we had to work with, I think they stuck it. But I think they could have done so much better.
They needed a plan, and it feels like there wasn't a plan, so they just took whatever threads they had, and they tried to tie everything up, and very, very conveniently they tied pretty much everything off. They left a lot of questions unanswered, but it was like seriously the most straightforward, simplest series ending. It's almost like a dad telling a kid a story, and then it's like, oh, it's getting pretty late and I want to go to bed. So yada, 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 the end. They all live happily ever after.
If you compare it to, they the last couple of seasons especially, they kept adding new characters and making it more and more convoluted.
Yeah.
The first season was kind of more like this, but you can't come this far with last like 3 and 4, seasons 3 and 4, and then be like, this is the very end. And it does feel like, oh, we're going to put it in theaters, so we're going to take that last episode and shove all that and shove the finale into that. You needed like 2 or 3 episodes of the second half to lead up to it. Had you had that lead up instead of talking, I think it would have worked out okay. It was just too fast, too simple. Like they get on this planet, how do they know exactly where to go? How do they know that's where his location was? Like, I mean, how big was this thing? You know what I mean?
Let's talk about this. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to more.clownfishtv.com for more Clownfish TV. That's how you remember it. So let's just rip the Band-Aid off and give you an overview of the plot so people who didn't watch it know what the hell is going on. The finale was a little over 2 hours long, and it basically ends with a rather brief kaiju fight, and they kill the bad guy, and then the last hour plus is an epilogue where everybody gets a happy ending pretty much.
Not everyone, but yeah.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation, but if you're looking for major character deaths, like confirmed deaths, the only person that dies and is confirmed to die is Kali, who she might as well be the new character of the season because she was barely in the show until this season. They forgot about her, and that's what this whole season felt like. was like they forgot about a lot of stuff. They're like, oh, we set up this whole side quest with Kali and all the other number. Okay, we got to bring her back because, we can't just.
Oh, that's okay. They just shot them all and brought her in for her blood, And,
I know, right?
She was not the mind flayer, which honestly I was kind of surprised by.
So, okay, so that is my feeling on this. This was the most straightforward, simplest ending to a show that set up all these puzzle boxes, right? I mean, I guess
it's a convoluted show, and they shouldn't have a simple ending.
It shouldn't have had such a simple ending. I'm like, the ending was basically the kids get together, they go into the abyss, which is where Vecna lives. They fight Vecna in his kaiju castle. They kill Vecna. Joyce chops his head off with an axe, which was pretty
Joyce
hilarious.
had that. Joyce, to be fair, our kids said, and I agree, Joyce deserved it. Joyce deserved the moment. They saw her walk in. They're like, "They're gonna have her chop his head off with the axe." No,
The axe
they're like, "No, they won't do that." And I'm like, "Wait, they wouldn't have her carrying an axe for no reason." That's exactly what they did.
And so they do that. They beat the bad. They get the kids back, and they go back to their world. And it's a happy ending. And then we forgot about the military. So they get back.
I didn't. I was like, the military still out
come
there.
Through the portal, and then they blow up the Upside Down. Elle supposedly stays in the portal, blow herself up too, or whatever. But we don't think she actually died. And I actually said that I don't think she died.
I don't know. I think she might have, and Mike just we'll get to that in a bit.
Telling himself.
That she might not have. Who knows?
I don't think she did, because she's been almost dead. Since the thing too is like, there's no real people have been thought dead in this show before. They always pop up later. So I'm like, they definitely leave the door open for her to come back. But so the weird thing is I've never seen a show tie up so many things so neatly and so simply before, right? Like I that's the only thing that kept coming to mind was like, this is, if a kid wrote a fanfic ending, this is like the most simple thing. Go to the castle, kill the bad guys, save the kids, go home, happy ending for everybody. And I expected more, I guess.
Well, I expected more from the final battle, because we kept saying, that's it. That can't be it. It
was like 45 minutes or whatever to like, I'm like, that cannot be it. There's more than an hour of this thing left. We had like 7 episodes of just meandering, and then we're gonna just walk into another dimension, another planet, onto another planet. Do we know if we can breathe the air? I don't know. Where are all the Demogorgons and the Demobats and the Demodogs and the Demokittens? Where are they at?
They're from there. So but there's nothing. There's like none of them are there. So where'd they all go? Like, this is what you were saying to me earlier, and I agree with you. They had squandered away.
They squandered the
like
season,
episode, the 5, 6, and 7. And in the time they took to have big, deep emotional chats, we could have taken they could have got to this, they could have figured out what they needed to do, got to that dimension sooner, got to that dimension, and then spent an episode or 2 building up to the end. They got to figure out where it's at. They got to make a plan. Oh shit, the mind flayer's alive, that kind of stuff, which, I mean, obviously we all kind of figured that was going to happen. And then it would have been some kind of build up. So, they ended it the way they ended it, which is weird that the military couldn't kill it, but a bunch of kids could. If they ended it where they ended it, and I think it was kind of clear. I think what they were trying to go for was, it was like a campaign where they all had to take hit points at it, which I thought was kind of fun to tie back to the beginning.
Yeah, but
in reality,
it was a very simple campaign where everybody's a tank and they're all
right. So but they could have taken a couple episodes that they were spending all this other time on, all this discussion and emotional, big emotional, oh, we're gonna break up, oh, I'm gay, oh, I got to my portal, but your portal wasn't here, let's have a whole girl chat. They could have used all that time, and for a whole other episode, or at least one other episode leading into it, so it gave you some stakes. They gave you, there's Demogorgons chasing them. They got to fight the Demogorgons. They got to get to him, because the Demogorgons are going to come and kill them all, or something.
Yeah.
And so there was more stakes or something to it, because it didn't make any sense. They just waltz right in.
So here's what I thought was going to happen. The way that things were going is that it was too easy. They just basically waltz in, team up, kill Vecna in his giant kaiju castle, which we all called the castle. We're like, that looks like the mind flayer, but upside down. It's totally the castle, whatever. I thought, because they were having kind of a happy ending in Hawkins, but Mike felt like something was wrong. I thought it would turn out that, wait, no, this is actually just another projection. The happy ending is another projection. Shit actually got real. Here's what actually happened. And we're still fighting Henry, or we're still, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought there'd be another, because I'm like, that is way too fucking easy, given everything that everybody's been
or
through.
they were all like, they all got caught and they all were like having the things down their throats. And that's
that would have been really interesting. Like, oh my God. So no, Henry's still around. And I thought that's where they're going to go with it. I'm like, no, that's literally how they just walk in, kill Vecna. That's okay. That's really anticlimactic, right? Very, very simple ending. Although Joyce lopping his head off was hilarious. Like, I just kept laughing. I'm like, it's so funny. It was almost like an episode of how it should have ended. You know, the cartoon. Where it was like, if they had a really, really, I mean, people could argue this ending stupid, but if they had a really stupid ending, people didn't like, be like, oh yeah, and then Joyce just comes in, chops his head off with the axe. You know, the end.
I don't think anyone wants that change. Everybody thinks, oh, she
that was great.
She deserved that. But
actually, would have been cool if like all the kids, you know, Mike woke up somehow. All the kids were all intubated, but Joyce was still around. She just like happens to walk up behind Henry and lop his head off, and that's
something, yeah. So, and then, the whole thing, I am glad they didn't like do the redeemed villain thing with Vecna.
That was interesting though, because I'm like, oh my God, we're going to go Steven Universe and they're going to hug it out. And then they're going to be like, oh, Henry, you're just the victim of the giant spider monster. It's okay. Let's hug it out and use our Care Bear stare to fight him. And he's like, no, I just like being evil. It was like, oh, okay, I'll give you that.
I liked. And you know what? Let's take a moment here to appreciate Jamie here again. Dude can act.
Oh, he's great. He's wasted. He's wasted in this show.
It's not just like, oh, he's going to act like the villain. Like his whole demeanor, his face, his eyes, everything changes. It's really impressive, yet kind of freaking scary. But like it's his whole body that he can just, change into this character. And it's so amazing. And,
Joker, I'm telling you, he would be an amazing Joker.
100%. If anybody's has DC's ear, you tell them he would be perfect because I can't explain it. It's like he doesn't just act like I don't even know how to explain it. It's everything. His whole face changes, like everything about it. He was amazing. Amazing.
He's got the crazy eyes. Like you would actually, with that guy, you would get comic book accurate Joker. We've never had, I don't think we've ever had an actual comic book accurate Joker. The closest we've gotten is Jack Nicholson, but we've never actually had a comic book accurate Joker in live action. I would say Batman the Animated Series is the closest, but this guy could pull it off.
Oh, he was just incredible. But yeah, I just think that they needed more lead up into it. And they done that, either the ending was more simplistic like it was, I think that it would have paid off. Like you said, where are the Demogorgons? Where are the Demi everything? Where are the Demi-Bats,
Yeah, they had like Demi-Bats, Demi-Ducks, Demi-Kittens, Demi-Platypuses. There's all this Demi stuff. How does this shit work? I don't understand the rules. Like, that's one thing about D&D and campaigns is there are rules. And, you've got minions and stuff like that, but they all have their own. So I don't understand where all this shit went to. I thought, well, did I miss something? Like, will snap all the Demogorgons? I don't.
There's only like a few left.
Yeah, and it's like desolate wasteland. I'm not getting the red lightning thing going on. It just looks like Arizona.
Well, I mean, I just think that. They're, I don't know if they're implying they're all in the upside down, but then have them chase the truck on the way out when they're trying to get the kids out. But they all be dead, I guess, at that point because the mind flayer was down. But
well, that's the thing, because that would have been stakes. So I mean, if you want to go,
they needed more stakes.
Yeah, if you want to go Lord of the Rings with it, which is kind of what I think they're going for, because they had the big epilogue and the big fighting the big bad or whatever. You have the kids trying to take on a bunch of Demogorgons, and it looks like they're going to lose because there's Demogorgons, Demi-Bats, and Demo whatever all over the damn place. And then Joyce walks up behind Henry and lops his head off with an axe. then she saves them all.
But I just think that there wasn't enough, stakes there. And even when the military came out, it was like, okay, so she blows herself
we forgot
up.
about them.
She blows herself up and then just all disappear. Like Dr. K is like the most wasted character ever. And they blow themselves up. And the military all just goes away. Just like, Kelly said they would. But look, then they spent a whole bunch of time on the epilogue. And I get it, because here's the thing that people aren't considering. But I'm considering, because I'm a mom, and I've got kids that grew up with this show. And like our daughter was saying about how, because she was really little when it started, and she talked about how it's been such a big part of lives. Like she is the age these kids are supposed to be at the end, and my son is the age of actually some of the actors, and for both of them, it was kind of like a big thing of their lives. And you have a bunch of kids in this generation who have gone through the pandemic, and they've gone through a lot of things. And we talked many times about how the kids are isolated now. Even young adults are isolated now. They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to connect with people, things like that. Well, they were connected to this. So in a way, these are like their friends. And in a way, as a mom of the kids about the same age, it always is kind of like, okay, and a teacher, like these are kind of like my kids, And I think, had they killed them, it would have been I think worse for some of for them to handle. But I think at the end, the loss of the show in general, and the fact that they filmed them on their last day, so that like when they're all like putting up their books and they were reacting to it, as everything was ending and they shut the door, that was like their real emotion, because they've been together for 10 years doing these shows and went to school together on set and everything else. And I think that the loss of the show itself is the big loss. Like usually you have a character loss, like last time was Eddie or whatever, everybody's focused on it. But this time I think the show itself ending is the big loss, if that makes sense. It's actually sticking with me more than if a character died.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about this, or it's really hard to judge it narratively, because what the show became versus how it started, two very different things. Now, I do agree. It became
very corporate as it went along.
Yeah, it did. I do agree season 5 was completely wasted, and they didn't seem to know what the hell they're doing. They were just meandering. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I think I was bringing up before we started recording vibe coding, which is basically you're looking for a feeling rather than the technical nitty-gritty. And I think that's it. This was more about closure for kids that grew up with this show versus a strong narrative, things that would make sense. And adults are going to look at this differently. Obviously, we're going to, especially being Gen X, you're going to be like, hey, kids freaking died in every damn show we watch, we're going to look at it differently than somebody that grew up with this show. And I remember reading an interview with the Duffer Brothers, and they said they didn't want to cause anybody trauma. And I think they were just like, yeah, we can't like kill Steve off. We can't kill Hopper off. We can't.
I mean, and then the Steve thing, going to black screen was dumb. I'm sorry. And they alluded to it when they had almost knocked him off the platform.
They were messing with the audience. They almost killed Steve. Now, what I thought would have been brilliant is they had Henry playing mind tricks on Hopper, and Hopper thinks he shoots Elle when she's in the tank. And I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my God, that would be a really brilliant twist if they have to get rid of her, that Hopper actually winds up shooting her and she's still alive, but she's stuck in Henry's mind. So if they kill Henry, they kill her. I'm like, that would have been, but I'm like, that would have been way too much.
That would have been good, but you would have needed more than one episode.
Yeah.
See, that could have been amazing, but they would have needed the episodes they squandered.
So then the whole dilemma would be like, we need to kill Henry because we got to save the world, but we kill him, we get rid of Elle too. But then that's how horrifying and how traumatic is that going to be for people that her dad basically pumped her full of lead, I
guess. I mean, I guess to us, like, that wouldn't have been such a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I think a lot of it, like I said, the trauma comment, which I think they're handling this generation too much with kid gloves, because we like I said, we grew up with The Dark Crystal and Never Ending Story. Our tax haunted us all, and stuff like that.
I really
Care Bears fought Satan.
The Care Bears fought Satan, for crying out loud. So did My Little Pony,
The Secret of Nim. We grew up.
Strawberry Shortcake fought pedophiles. I mean, it's
But I'm just like, we grew up with this stuff, so like it doesn't faze us as much. But I'm struck by the fact. Well, as a mom, I didn't want to see the kids get hurt in the show because I know it was not real, but it just would have hit me harder. But I do think they didn't do that because you have a whole generation at these, and they're connected. Like, these are my friends in a way. And I think that we already had so much loss with pandemic. A lot of people lost family members, and lost friends and things like that. So I kind of wonder if that's why they did it. I don't know. I'm just saying
I think 100. I think it for 100%. I mean, I think this is one of those cases where it's like, I can't really, there were so many things I looked at this. I'm like, that was stupid. That was a wasted opportunity. You should have done this, should have done that. But they're writing for their audience, and I don't know if their audience could handle Steve dying or something. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I know everybody's like, well,
Oh, they knew people would lynch if they killed Steve. Everybody.
Yeah, I think they. Boy, I guess this would be like the opposite of The Last Jedi, right? So if The Last Jedi was like they kept doing these rug pulls and they kept making these really unexpected choices and it didn't make any sense. This was like we just did everything super, super safe to make sure nobody got mad, nobody was upset, and people left.
This was making people mad anyway because they said they played it too safe.
It was very, it was the safest, simplest possible ending. Like I'm sitting here thinking like, there are so many things, and again, this is another one where there were so many fan theories out there that would have been amazing, and you still would have, you could have potentially kept everybody alive. My favorite is, and this is what I would have taken. I mean, I'm obviously not writing it, but if I were writing it, I'd be like, you've introduced time travel in a wormhole. You kill a bunch of people off, and then you can undo it. I mean, it's fun.
I get that, but then see it from a standpoint of, the fact that we've been through the 10 years of these characters and they all have their growth and they all have their relationships and things. If you did that, it would undo all that. And at that point, yeah, they're alive, but everything that made them is gone.
They
so
died
it is like they died anyway. But I just think that they did it because they were worried about their audience. I also think they did it because they were trying to make this big thing for the theater and they should have just ran all 4 episodes together and they should have spent a good 2 other episodes on, all the stuff where they figured out they needed to get up there and they figured all this stuff out. They needed to do that like 2 episodes ago. They needed to have more battle, more stakes. Yeah. The ending needed to be half that season 5 needed to be the battle with Vecna and the ending and the battle with the Mind Flayer and the ending. It needed that.
Yeah, I think I would have felt better about like you said, had they spent those last couple episodes instead of just meandering around talking about feelings and talking about Will's sexuality, whatever, if they were actually in the abyss and like fighting for their lives against demogorgons, because that's the difference with Lord of the Rings. Like Return of the King, everybody is fighting for their lives and you don't know if they're going to make it, not make it, and even when they win you think they're all going to die, and then you get the big epilogue. So the epilogue feels more like a victory, and it was bittersweet too because Frodo and Bilbo, they sail off. But
I kind of did that here. Like everybody that's like, they're all moving on and they're all, and then that's the thing that's making me the most sad is because, as somebody who's been, done this and left high school and everything, you think at the time, nothing's really going to change. Like you're going to go to different schools, but it's still going to be, pretty much the same. You're still going to meet up and you're still going to, like the adults were talking about, you're still going to have all that. And you think it's going to be okay and it's going to be the same, but then it's not. And I remember I was subbing, long-term at the high school I went to, and I hadn't been there in a long time, and I struggled for a good couple of weeks when I first got there because it was hitting me hard in ways I didn't expect because it just felt like everything's different but it's the same but it's different. I lost something, and that's kind of what it feels like too. It's like you grow up and when they shut the door it's extra hard because it's the end of it, but it's also like for kids that grew up with it, it's like you lost something. And I think at the end the big loss wasn't if one of the characters, like as I said, the big loss, what's sticking with everyone, what's going to stick with me anyway, is the loss of the whole thing, if that makes sense, and the whole that everything is not going to be the same because they're all going to move on to their own things, everything's going to change, and they weren't going to be their team anymore. And in your mind, they're always those kids that are out there, all together doing these things, and now they're not. And I guess I guess to me that's the loss that that's a bigger loss than if one of the characters supposedly died.
Yeah, I think and again, that's, I'm going back to the vibe coding where I think that's what the big loss was the loss of the show. And, you're not going to.
But I still feel a big sense of loss, even though one of the characters didn't. I mean, Elle supposedly maybe dead, maybe not. I think they're just leaving on. I mean, probably is dead. They're probably trying to give people like a leaving on a sense of hope.
Yeah, well, they thought she was dead before, like 3 times.
That's true.
It's like whatever. It's barely an inconvenience. Well, she was hardly in the show this season. It's like what the hell. I think that's it. I think this is more about closure for the audience, the young audience. So that's why I'm like, I mean, I could like shred this ending and just be like some of the dumbest damn shit ever. But I'm like, this is not Game of Thrones, right? This is a show for a particular audience. A lot of the kids that started watching the show were like 10, 11 years old, when the show started. They've been watching for years. And so I think I'm going to give it, I'm going to go a little easier on this one, given the audience, than I would, something that definitely skewed older.
I mean, it was obviously for Gen X too, because we were there,
Yeah, and then Gen X sometimes. I mean, look, it was a mixed bag because sometimes you had movies where it didn't make any damn sense. Everybody lived to the end of it or whatever, like Goonies or Daryl. Like, oh yeah, he's dead. Oh no, he's not. He's got a computer brain. We'll bring him back. But then you have other things like, I went to the theater to go see Transformers the movie when I was a kid. They kill off pretty much the entire cast of the series in the first 10 minutes of the movie, right? To introduce a new toy line. So, I mean, I'm a little cynical in that regard. And then you had all the slasher movies, Nightmare on Elm Street, pretty much everybody
I think
died.
this is it. I mean, it's like we're made of tougher stuff because we had to be. And people that were older than us that, when were in World War II and stuff are probably made of tougher stuff because they had to be. But, and it kind of speaks to the fact that, this new generation, they're complaining about all the Gen Xers and stuff. And I'm like, you guys need a safe space if you don't, get something you want. And I do think that you have to learn to be tougher in life. But I'm also the flip side, like you said, they're right. We're the audience too, but I don't think that we're the target audience.
Right,
for
right.
This.
And I think that's what I was trying to remember too. I was like, God, that was super, super safe and super.
That being said,
simple.
our kids thought it was super, super safe and way too simple.
Yeah,
as well.
and they are the target audience. I mean, there were some good moments, but it was just like.
And I think, given what they had coming into it, I think they stuck the landing with what they had to work with. But I think they missed.
Yeah.
They really should have taken a couple episodes outside of it and just led up.
It's kind of like crashing is like Pee Wee Herman. You crash your bicycle, you get up and be like, I meant to do that. Ta-da!
Yeah. It really, I don't know what they were thinking on that, other than the fact
they're
that
thinking about their
make
Paramount deal.
Well, that's what I think it is. I think they were thinking about other things they were working on. And I think they're working on that Stephen King thing that didn't go through, and they're working on other things they were trying to get through because they had to have something else to jump to, right? And so I don't know if they were putting as much into it as they should have. But that being said, it's like you guys squandered away, and I think it was all because you were put in theaters and stuff. You were trying to aim for putting it in
the movie,
the theater.
like, but then just do. You know what? You just pull an Evangelion and you just do a movie like that instead of doing the 5th season. Seriously, you could just do Stranger Things the movie 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 and everything. It's a trilogy of movies, and that's how you end it.
Yeah, but that's not people. That's not people. Watched it, so I don't think that would work. But I don't know. I'm just all over the place with this. It's going to be one of those things you process for a while, but. I get both reactions to it, liking it and hating it. I understand both sides of it. I really do.
I think I'm just kind of like, if you were going to tell somebody to start watching the show from the beginning now, because now people are going to binge it. Because
I would have ended with episode 2 and called it a day.
Because I'm like, okay, so
or
I'm
going
to
season 2.
Season 2 actually be a good ending because season 3 felt like it was tacked on too, right?
Yeah, I think if you watch 1 and 2, you're good. Like they kind of gave it an ending. They sealed off everything. It's still there, mad, but. And it could come back someday, but they had a happy ending. They're all back, at the dance. They're all back together. You got it out of will, all that stuff. I think it could have seriously ended it too, and it would have made a good ending. Everything else is unnecessary other than money.
Yeah, that's what it feels. It feels like there really wasn't a plan beyond there wasn't. Originally, there wasn't a plan beyond the first season. And then they're like, and then. But I'm like, once you knew this thing was going to go for X number of years or X number of seasons, you really need to write the end backwards. Now, I do believe the very, very end. I do believe them when they said they knew how they were going to end it with them ending their D&D campaign. Because that...
Yeah, no, that coming full circle, obviously. Oh, I did think it was interesting. But they had his sister and her friends coming down, like they were going to start a new one. Yeah. But I was interested when they were talking about the epilogue and where everybody went, that Hopper was saying about moving to Montauk or whatever.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, originally the show was going to be Montauk, and it was based on Montauk, New York, where supposedly they're doing all these experiments on kids, and it's a whole like UFO lore, paranormal lore thing. And part of me is like, is that the backdoor pilot? Like, we're going to do X-Files with Hopper?
Well, they said they're doing a spinoff, but it's not going to be these people. So I don't know.
Are they going to explain the magic rock that turned Henry Creel evil? I mean, just like in a suitcase, it's a magic rock, and they became the bad guy.
Yeah, I guess it was more explained in the play, probably.
But nobody's going to watch that. A handful of people are going to watch that. I mean, this is the thing. I understand the frustration. We'll go out and look at some of these articles here. I completely get the frustration.
This is going to be a very long video.
It's going to be a very long video, but it's going to be as long as the epilogue on Stranger Things. But there's a lot to unpack, and I really think though, I think there were a lot of expectations. And I think sometimes people do overthink the ending to how it's, especially when you've got years of build up and all these fan
but
theories.
This one was such a convoluted thing as it got further and further along. The ending needed to be.
The ending was so super
simple. It was too simple, and I think it was because they paid themselves in a corner. And given what they started with, they nailed it in that regard. But they really shouldn't have paid themselves in the corner like that to begin with.
I'm just like, yeah, and then they go to the magic bad place where he lives, and then they just like throw rocks at him, and they kill the kaiju, and then Joyce chops his head off. Ha ha ha! It's funny, and then we're going to talk about them graduating from. You know what I'm saying?
And 11 jumps rocks to get to them.
Yeah, like Legolas. So I guess we really are going.
And that's people brought the thing too. They said, "How did Max graduate when she was in a coma for 2 years?"
That's a good question.
That must have been some accelerated learning program.
There are a lot of
plot holes.
Plot holes you could drive a freaking bus through. I think people expected the show to be a lot more clever than it actually was, because there were some clever things early on, but I'm like, I guess if you're going with the 80s theme, sometimes you had movies where it was just like, and then they beat the bad guy and have a few laughs. The end. And it's like, okay. But it did feel like kind of just the most simple, safest ending they could have come up with. This comes from The Independent. Stranger Things ends with divisive finale as disappointed fans bemoan stupidest plot decisions. Okay. It said the final episode of the show, the heroes from Hawkins managed to defeat Vecna. After Joyce cuts off the villain's head, Hopper and Murray rig bombs on the interdimensional bridge, the Upside Down, with 11 seemingly staying behind. With a large chunk of the episode still remaining, like over an hour, there is a time jump to the year 1989 where we're shown what has happened to the remaining characters. The crew has started to move on from the traumatic events of the series. Joyce and Hopper get engaged. In one of the final scenes of the show, Mike claims that Eleven had actually faked her own death. It's unclear whether she did or not. Many viewers were critical of the finale, with the decision to eliminate Vecna so early in the episode frequently criticized on social media.
Well, we knew it was going to happen, guys. We told you there was a big epilogue.
Yeah, main villain killed halfway in. Nobody important died. No explanation on the Henry Creel origin story. No, it's just like Boy Scout kills a dude, finds a magic rock, turns evil. And then he likes being evil. I will give them. I honestly thought they were going to be like, it's okay, Henry, you can be one of us.
Our kids were like, oh no, they better not do the redemption thing, and then they didn't. We were like,
Steven Universe ending, yeah. 18-month time jump. Stranger Things finale was the stupidest effing ending I've seen, right up there with the Umbrella Academy. The biggest mistake they made was a whole 50 minutes of the episode just being the epilogue. They could have used the last 30 of those 50 minutes to make the fighting better. It was a very quick battle. It was like, we can't afford to have the kaiju on screen very much. So if you could kill them off in like 5 minutes, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm much disappointed to that extent that I don't even want to talk about Stranger Things. Someone said others were more positive. Me being happy with the Stranger Things finale and coming on Twitter to see everyone complaining. Someone else joked. This comes from The Hollywood Reporter. Critics' conversation. Stranger Things goes out finally with a confused and protracted bang. After 5 seasons, Netflix sci-fi horror hit wraps up with an exhausting 2-hour extravaganza that unsurprisingly delivered lots and lots of stuff, but very little legacy building substance. So that's the thing. Like, what is the legacy of this show going to be other than a lot of people watched it? Because, memorable moments, they were all in the earlier seasons. Yeah. Right? I mean,
even last season, it was like start to finish. It was like, go, stakes the whole way through. And it was exciting. And, they killed Eddie and everything else, but they at least killed somebody. And then they kept it like really exciting. Even when Elle died, there wasn't like there's a lot of stakes to it. Like, it just didn't feel like it was like, like the other seasons. And the fact that you have to hurry. It was just like, yeah, okay, we're in here now. He's already stabbed. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? It just didn't seem as like the first half was done okay, and then we went to part 2, and then it just fell apart.
This is interesting. This is coming from The Hollywood Reporter, and they're basically saying a lot of the same things we were saying, where it's like, that's it. They said, it was convoluted, and it said it was an effects-free resolution set 18 months after the world-saving orgy of digital trickery, some cool and some really awful, that the show built to in that second of 3 parts in the final season. The epilogue, which will henceforth replace The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, in all conversations mocking protracted franchise wrap-ups will probably be a worthwhile was probably a worthwhile decompression after well over an hour of action, ill-timed conversations, and lectures about choices, many of which either undermined or repeated aspects from the best parts of the penultimate episode. Yeah, we didn't need to have, I thought, well, they're going to get all the talking out of the way, so now they can just go, balls to the wall action. No, that's not what happened. The finale was big and loud, depending on your perspective, either rousing and emotionally operatic or incoherent and less effectively mawkish than those key beats from the bridge, with Will's coming out, Nancy and Jonathan's breakup engagement in the goo escape room, and Steve and Dustin's reconciliation. As someone who loved the first couple seasons for their less is more ethos and DIY charm, I fit more into the second perspective. I admire the Duffer Brothers Netflix for ponying up for not one but two big Prince needle drops, but it didn't feel like much when 11 made her choice and seemingly sacrificed herself. Because that was the whole buildup was, you don't have to kill yourself. We're going to find another way.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to kill myself anyway. The fact we got 2 full rounds of individual close-ups for every character, both when they realized what 11 was about to do and what she did, added a little. I was exhausted. Basically, it was irritating. Yeah, that's why when we were treated to a montage of deceased characters as motivation for Joyce, Ryder beheading Vecna, I was like, Eddie, that guy Sean Astin played in 2 frames of Barb. Where the hell was Barb? So they basically are going through it. They're like, it was frustrating because it was a very quick ending to a lot of buildup and all the talking shit, which is all this season mostly was. Like, why do we have to have more talking shit in the ending too?
Yeah, and that's what they did. Like, even in the epilogue, they could take some of the conversation about, let's meet together every month. They're not going to do in the epilogue, and having Robin go back on the radio and all that crap. Why couldn't you just have taken more time, to build up stakes and the rest of it? And they didn't. So, like I said, again, I think they stuck the landing in regards to what we had coming into it, but overall, the whole season after the first half was okay. From then on, they really wasted it.
I'm like, there's so many things because they had Mike as a writer, right, at the end. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, he's writing science fiction, presumably, or, games or whatever. And I'm like, that would have been a great opportunity to have his kids come in and be like, yeah, wait, all this stuff happened? Like, you fought a kaiju in another dimension? That's ridiculous. Like, I thought this was supposed to be about your life. He's like, well, some of it's true, some of it's not. He's like, who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Oh, no, I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm so glad they didn't do that.
And the book is called Stranger Things. So, I mean, I thought, I don't know, there's so many other ways they could have gotten the same point across, I guess.
I think shutting the door was good. I think that putting the things, because I think that, if you didn't have that, I think it would be even more, like, there would be no loss. But, because, you have this L, but he might be alive. And quite frankly, I didn't feel bad about that for whatever reason. I don't understand. I didn't.
Because she can't act very well. And she's emotionless.
The door shut actually was hit harder, I think, in some ways. Than, because it's like everybody's like putting their book on the shelf and leaving. And it's and then their genuine emotion on that.
Yeah.
That was the last scenes each actor ended on their final scene. That was the last day.
I remember when I graduated from high school that, that it was like a day later or whatever, because I was moving. And we had like a get together at our house, and it was weird because the house is all torn up and everything too, and we were moving, and it felt very final. Like it sunk in at that point that, like, yeah, this part of my life's over, right? It's done. So I mean, I get that, but I don't know. I mean, people are going to talk. Well, I would say people are going to talk about it for years to come. I'm like, I don't know if they will. I kind of wonder if, because there were a lot of people in our comments when we were talking about season 5, they're like, wait, Stranger Things is still on? Because it was like years between, so people.
You literally could just watch the first 2 seasons and stop there.
Yeah, pretty much like every Netflix show. Yeah. I just watched that first season. I am really worried about One Piece. I'm like, we got it too good. I think it's going to come off the rails here. The fact that they actually made it to 5 seasons on Netflix is incredible because that never happens. But yeah, it just seemed like a wasted opportunity. I don't know.
Yeah, 7 or 8. It started out so strong, and then it just was like, let's go, and then it just went off the rails. And they could have done so much more. With the whole thing, but they didn't. It is what it is, and I think you're allowed to like it. You're allowed to not like it. Either I see people with both opinions. It's all good. Feel how you want to feel about it. Process it how you want to process it. It's just that no matter what you want to argue, it's 10 years of something that's been really a big part of people's lives or the pop culture in general, social consciousness. Yeah, in general. So it is, whether if you're disappointed in the ending, you're going to, or if you're just sad that it's over, I think everybody can relate to the feeling of being upset in some way. But there it is. And it's done. It's sad. It's just like, for me as a mom, it's like I already did the high school thing and then that's gone. And then I'm like, a mom and my kids are older now, like the show, and then now that's gone. And so for me, it's like a little bit weirder than it would be for other people.
One of the first videos we actually did on the channel, because we used to do more gameplay on the channel when we first started, was actually me and Squid King playing the Stranger Things game on Steam. Mm-hmm. Because he was so into it. He loved this show. And so it is kind of weird in that regard. But I think that's who the ending was for. It wasn't really for it was for general audiences, but I think it was more for the people that grew up with the show. And they didn't want to cause any more additional trauma. So it is what it is. Very safe. Probably the safest ending possible for a show like this.
Yeah, and thank God they had Jamie in there playing Vecna.
Oh, it would have been
if they hadn't had that, I don't think there's nothing would have saved.
No, he carried it because he's really good. I'm telling you,
DC people.
James Gunn, if you're still doing DC after you get that guy to play the Joker, because I don't think he'd get.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So, but hey, if Netflix buys Warner,
that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, there you go. Get that guy to play the Joker, because I think he would be absolutely incredible. But minimal effort required, because he's got the facial structure and everything of comic book Joker.
The way he could just change
Crazy
himself
eyes.
Completely is just so impressive. Can't say enough about him. Anyway, we gonna wrap this up.
We're gonna wrap it up. There we go, guys. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.